You guys have been begging for this little vent. I'm gonna show you how to install it in just a few minutes. Super simple, super easy. Then make this thing function the way it was supposed to, or any of the containers function the way they're supposed to with the addition of the AiROVENT. So let's get into it. If you're watching this, you probably have at least one of these. And if you're watching this and you don't have one of these, go buy one. You'll want it. It will save any container and make it functional again. So this is the AiROVENT. This is the installation kit. That's what comes with the installation kit. A little wrench, and this attaches to the long reach installation tool so that you can get the AiROVENT good and tight. So I'm just gonna walk you through the steps on how to install this thing. Take your container. I'm using this container. I've already drilled the hole, but that's a step bit, and that is absolutely the best way to drill a hole in any plastic because it gives a nice progressive cut on it and you won't end up with tears or anything in the top of the container. So when you're doing this, you want a 3/4 inch step bit. Absolute must, 3/4 inch step bit. If you go too big, you won't seal. If you go too small, you won't be able to get the vent into its location. So 3/4 step bit is what we absolutely recommend. I'm sure there's other ways to put 3/4 inch hole in the container, but that's the key important thing. 3/4 inch hole in the container, so you're good to go. Obviously, first thing you're gonna do is open your AiROVENT, pull it out of the packaging, and go ahead and take the stem out of the body. This is what we refer to as the stem. And then you're gonna remove the nut, the vent nut from the body. And all the O-rings are in place, but this one can move on you. So just make sure it stayed seated down inside that groove. So we're gonna start with the long part of the installation tool. And this hose is just pressed into these ends. So you can just start by removing it. Just set it aside for now. Take just your tubing. This is just 1/4 inch tubing, no big deal. But I'm gonna feed it through the container starting with the 3/4 inch side because it's easier to hit the bigger opening on the container. I'm just gonna take the hose, feed on through. We have the hose pass through the container, so no big deal, pretty simple to do. Then I'm gonna take the body of the vent and slip it over the hose, thread first, leaving the flange out. And I'm gonna take this part of the installation tool and just push it back onto the 1/4 inch tubing. So you're gonna set something like that. You just wanna be careful to make sure that O-ring doesn't get out of place, or when you're doing it, you don't pull the tubing back out of the hole. So once I've got that, I can put a little pressure on, and then see if I can do this, and then just seat it up to there. So pretty simple. We just carefully drop that through the hole and pull this back up. And that's how you hold your vent body up through the hole. Now we can take, and we can just pop this tube out of our way for right now. We're gonna want it again. I'm gonna take the nut and I'm gonna drop it over the vent and just get it loosely threaded on. I'm gonna take this part, which is an extension to this part of the tool, and just snug it down on there. So it just seats right there. And this just gives you a little bit more leverage so that when you're tightening this in, you can hold that up. So once we've got that on play, the wrench, I'm gonna slide up and over the top. So that's what we're kind of looking at there. We're just gonna take and hold this in place. I'm gonna pop that guy off, set him aside, done. Pop this tool back off. We get our 1/4 inch tubing and just push it back down in the hole. So it's back on there. Pop the can down this way. Slide it through. You let gravity kind of do its work. And this guy will just come back out that hole. Pop that. And that's kind of the last you'll need that installation kit unless you order another one. And then we take the stem and thread it back into the body. There's a little dead spot in the threads. And the whole idea with that dead spot is when you're loosening this up to vent, you pop it out. If you're not paying attention, you won't accidentally unthread it, unscrew it too far. It'll stay in there. Or if you leave it loose and you just forget, vibration's not gonna take this out, you don't have lanyards or anything else to mess with. It all keeps it kind of contained within the product itself. Then you can just tighten it back down and you're off and ready to go. So I like things to be straight, so you can always put that wrench back on if the logo is not straight. Put the wrench back on and just rotate this, and that'll straighten out the body. So same process works on any container. You just go through the opening and back out through here. This was easy. I just pushed it down and then reached your finger in and grabbed it and pulled it to the one side. So I don't have any specific recommendations as to the location of where to install your vent. I preferred on this one to be on the back side, opposite side of the opening of the container. And I went off to one side. And if I'm being perfectly honest, I did it intentionally to avoid this seam, thinking that there would be an issue sealing on the inside of this container on that seam part. But after a bit more research, what I learned is that this is not two pieces being seamed together. This is a roto-molded product. So they got two halves of a mold that come together, and then they put the product inside and rotate it until that product is all evenly spread through the mold. And then they actually, it's two layers, and then they put another product in after that first one set, and they rotate it again. So the inside's like perfectly smooth. And I learned that and did a little more research after I drilled this hole and found this perfectly smooth. So if I was to do it again, honestly, I'd probably center it up in the can just for cosmetics. I like things being symmetrical. If you want to install it in here or here, I mean, that's all your choice. The biggest thing is to make sure wherever you drill that hole that you have a big enough flat spot landing for the vent body itself. So whether it's here or here, you know, if you try and do it close to the handle, you're probably not going to seat right inside, because you got to remember this container was remarkably thick. I mean, you look how thick that stem is, and we really don't have any leftover thread there. So yeah, just keep in mind, be careful, check, and check again before you go drilling your holes in your container, because you don't want to scrap out when you're trying to add a part that makes it better. This container, I put the vent up here in front just because I didn't have another location that I really liked. I stack my cans up against a wall in the trailer, and they stack side by side. So I didn't want something protruding out the sides or out the back. So the only locations I had was in here, which is an okay option, but it made it a little harder to get to the vent, or on the front. And so the downsides to this is you are pulling, when it's pulling the suction, it will pull suction, it won't leak as long as you open it after you start draining the fuel or fluid or whatever you're draining out of them. If you open this after you started to drain, the fluid's going out, so it's trying to suck air from somewhere. So once you crack this, it gives it a place to suck the air from. And once it's pulling air, you're golden. But it will slow down the draining when the air's fighting to get past all the fluid to get to the inside of the can. At this point, the can's upside down, and so that air's got to battle through that much pressure, that much fluid, in order to get into the can. So it will slow it down a little bit, but this is still, that was like 50 seconds, I think, draining this container, 60 seconds, something like that. So still very workable situation. Just another can here, and I won't show any of its names because this company doesn't like me. Well, at least their attorney doesn't. But nonetheless, that's where I put it on this container. Worked out really well. It's a good location. I think this one drained in under 35 seconds, about 35 seconds to drain this 5-gallon container. And that's not the main purpose of this for speed, as much as just ease of use. I mean, speed definitely helps. If you have to use the stock nozzles that come with these, you totally understand what I'm talking about, because it takes forever to drain them. That saved this container, made it work out really well. I'm sitting here editing the video that you just watched, and I got to the last. I'm happy with it. Oh my gosh, I didn't film a closing. I went looking for the closing. I never filmed it. So I'm just gonna wrap it up here. Late night, sitting in my kitchen, trying to edit the video and get it up, because we already shipped out parts. We're ahead of schedule on the vents, and the little installation card with the QR code on it is on its way to some of you who have ordered. So I have to get this video up, so I'm not gonna have time to reshoot it tomorrow. So I'm just gonna wrap it up here, saying thanks for supporting our little company. Thanks for allowing us to make this product and make it here in the United States. Small companies, we have to wear a lot of hats and get a lot of things going to make all this stuff work. And it's through your guys' support that we're able to continue doing this. So thank you very much. And if you have any questions, we do a pretty good job at watching the comments on this and on our videos. So if you have any questions, post them there, or reach out to our support team. You can check out all of our contact info under the About Us on our website. through text or through email. Those seem to be the quicker responses, or DM us on Instagram, any of the social media stuff. So, but thanks for supporting our company. Thanks for allowing us to do this stuff for you. This has been a fun product to see it come to light. You guys totally crushed it. We launched this about, well, a week ago Friday, and the sales just went crazy. I couldn't believe it. The hottest selling product we've had on a single launch. Does that make sense? Anyway, thanks again.